I'm Morgan.
And I'm Louie.
And welcome to our podcast. Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Morgan and Louie in Portugal podcast. If you are new here, Louie and I moved to Portugal a little over a year ago, a year and 1 month, and we've been sharing our life, our journey, our experiences here on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and then we recently started this podcast. This is episode 15. If you're interested in our journey, make sure that you click the like and subscribe here on YouTube. That way we'll pop up on your feed, and also on Spotify, click the follow button so that way you don't miss an episode. I just want to remind you guys, look at my hoodie. Can you see that? I'm wearing one of our Azores hoodies.
Açores.
Hell yeah. We actually have a trip to the Açores coming up in July. It'll be July 27th through August 3rd. And it's actually a group trip. Everything is planned out from Zach Vacations. And I'll put the itinerary in the show notes so that way you can check it out for yourself. Please come join us. We're going to have a great freaking time. And we have been waiting to go back to San Miguel. I cannot wait.
I cannot wait to go. It's going to be so fun.
It really is. Okay, episode Keens. Episode 15. If you haven't checked out episode 14, go give it a listen. We talk about all of the culture shocks we experienced, weird, good, everything in between. And I think it's kind of a fun episode. I got a little kick reminiscing through some of it. And then this episode is actually going to be about grocery shopping in Portugal. And I think it'll be a fairly quick episode. So let's get into it.
You might think that grocery shopping in Portugal might be similar or the same. Before we moved here, I certainly didn't think how different is grocery shopping going to be in another country.
Yeah.
But then when you go to another country and you go do your grocery shopping, it's pretty different. From the carts that you push to how eggs are stored.
Sure.
And
okay, let me ask you something. Off the top of your head, do you prefer grocery stores, supermarkets in the US, or do you prefer Portuguese ones? They don't even have to be Portuguese ones, just supermarkets in Portugal.
I'm going to say I prefer the ones in Portugal.
Sick.
For sure.
Me too.
It's just not to knock the ones in the US, but they're all just kind of the same, honestly. And here you can go to one supermarket and it'd be totally different. Like, you got Mercadona, you got Ocean, and you got Continent, right? Mm-hmm. They're completely different.
Yeah.
Different loges.
Yeah.
So.
Do you prefer supermarkets or like the mom and pop shops?
I guess it depends what I'm looking for. If we're trying to do a one-stop shop, I prefer a big supermarket. Mm-hmm. But if I just need something quick, I like going to the mom and pop shops, the local loja, or maybe the mini mercage that they have around towns.
Well, I think that kind of leads into topic number 1, which is the types of markets you'll find here in Portugal. So obviously if you live here, you're fully aware of what shopping in Portugal is. But if you're unfamiliar, I feel like this episode is going to be more for people who are like considering moving to Portugal or just want our opinion and our version of it, because
or even if you visit Portugal a few times a year or once a year, a couple, it might, you might not experience that as much. So
yeah, it's
just good information in my opinion.
I agree. It's not really like for the people who live here and shop every single day, and that's okay.
For sure.
But yeah, so in Portugal, from our understanding, we have a few different types of markets. We've got like these hypermercados, which are like the big ones, and I compare them to like Walmart, for example. You've got Ocean, which is our favorite. It's a French one. There's Continent, Pingdos, Mercadona. I think Mercadona might be Spain.
I believe it is Spain, yep.
Yep.
Continent is Portuguese, right?
And Pingdos as well. They're both Portuguese.
Pingdos used to be called something else, and my dad knew what that was, but I forgot what it is. So if you remember what it is,
let us know in the comments, yeah. And I feel like some of them are kind of borderline hypermercado and supermercado. I think it depends on like the size. And I feel like I remember Isabel telling me one time that there are different levels of Continent. Like there are some like really small ones, and then there's some medium ones, and then there are some bigger ones.
Very
so
cool.
That's kind of cool. We're just kind of talking about the ones we're familiar with in our area in Aveiro. And then so we've got hypermercados, we've got supermercados, and then we also have like these smaller lojas, hard word to say, lojas, these smaller stores, and they're kind of like mom and pop shops, so they don't really have names. They're just...
Yeah, they'll be called like Lucia's, a Loja de Lucia, or
they just might have like a Delta sign or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll literally be called like mini mercad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what they're called, is mini mercados.
They don't really have their own names. Yeah.
Maybe they're called mini mercados. And I think those are really fun. We had one when we first moved here, right below our apartment, and now we have the closest one. I think is Super Oken's. So it's technically a supermercado. So, I think they're really fun because they're like very specific to the location that you're in, and the hypermercados are very like generic. Like you can get like, very generic store brand things. And then along with that, we have butcher shops. So in Portuguese, they're talhos.
Talho.
Yeah, and sometimes in like each of those markets, you'll get an actual butcher shop in the market. Maybe not the mini mercados, but at least the supermercado, the hypermercado, you definitely will. Okay, so we've covered the like general basis of all the different markets that we have here. Let's go into food quality here in Portugal.
Let me ask you, how do you think the food quality is here in Portugal compared to what you've known your entire life in the United States?
I think I've got a few, what are they called? Like I've got a few opinions, I guess, about it. But overall, I think that quality is better here. And I'm going to say this because it's specifically like, I think produce is better here. I think a lot of it, and that's strictly because like a lot of it can be grown here in Portugal. So that really helps. Where like the United States, not everything can be grown. Like you can't just grow lemons and oranges in Minnesota, right? So like the quality just isn't the same because it's not as fresh. You have to freeze it and transport it. I mean, that's like unavoidable, right? But here in Portugal, they can transport it so easily, and most of it is grown here. So you'll get like really high quality olive oil, you get really high quality wine, you get fresh produce and
fruits.
Yep, exactly. And they do everything very seasonal here. So, in December you get a crap ton of castanhos or chestnuts, it's like very seasonal. And then like in the summer we'll get a lot of berries and melon and stuff like that, right? Like and I really, really like that. And I don't think that you can really compare like the US to Portugal in that aspect, and that's simply because of that,
right.
And I think it's so easy for people to be like, oh, Portugal has such better quality food, and it's like, yes, they do, but it's also because of like their ability to be able to grow it here and manufacture it here and all of that. I do think that Portugal has great quality like bread, like fresh bread, and they have so many different versions, and they produce it every single day, and people like consume it like nothing else. That's really cool.
That's one thing you'll see in Portugal, not to get off the grocery shopping, but you will see fresh padarias. Padarias everywhere. Fresh bread daily. That's a lost art in the United States. It was popular when I was a kid in Fall River. There's padarias on every few corners.
Well, that's because you had that
the Portuguese
culture.
Community in Fall River, Massachusetts. It's a lost art. Like I said, you can't get fresh bread anywhere. You might be able to go to Lidl and get fresh, but again, Lidl is still
a European supermarket.
And it's still, a big name. You can't just go to João's Padaria and get fresh pão. In the States here, you can go anywhere and get fresh pão.
And when we lived so I'm from Virginia, and we both lived in Virginia, and when we lived in Virginia, I would always try to find bakeries and things like that. And if you did, they were so expensive.
Because they're far and few.
Yeah. And all the good stuff was gone early in the morning. So if you went later, you miss out. But yeah, so like, I feel like they have that culture, and that culture works really well, and it's really good, fresh bread. So that's really cool to me.
Can I mention something?
Go for it.
So I also feel like here in Portugal, you're talking about fresh produce. You can get that anywhere here. You don't even need to go to a grocery store to get fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. You can go to the local mercado on a Saturday, Sunday.
True.
Where people are selling fresh fruits, veggies, pretty much on the street.
Yeah.
So I find that it's such an abundance of that here. And
it's almost like it's a culture here. and it shouldn't
right. I
be
guess that's
that
a really
way.
good way to say that. It's a culture here,
Yeah.
right? Because in the States, you look at fruits and veggies and you're like, ew, no, I don't want that. I'd rather have the processed
Yeah, and
crap
then in
that's on the shelf.
yeah, right. And in the
Which
States,
here they do as well.
they do, and we'll get into that, honestly.
Right.
And in the States, they have like, you know, genetically modified fruits and vegetables, and we talk about like whether that's good or bad. I don't know, but I think the bigger picture is that the states are trying to keep up with the demand, so they have to find innovative ways to have fruits, vegetables, meats, whatever the heck it is, because there's just too many people and not enough way to sustain it, right? Like Portugal is a much smaller country, so they're able to sustain it, and I think that's such a beautiful thing, and I think it's also part of the culture. It's not weird that you can go on a Sunday, a Saturday, Sunday, and get fresh produce, eggs, all of that, you know?
I mean,
here you tend to see every single home has a garden.
Yeah, every single home has a garden. Every single home has an orange tree. Every single home has lemons in the summer. You name it.
Yeah.
They have fresh fruits always.
They do. And I wonder like how much of that gets distributed through the community. Do some people have larger scales and they sell it to grocery stores? Like I wonder things like that. And I figure as we're here, we'll learn more about how it works. But you know, just comparing the little bit of experience we have versus our lifetime in the United States is very interesting. Going back to the processed food part, this is a huge misconception that people have about Europe, and I can only speak on Portugal. I don't know about the rest. But people in the US or Canada, they'll like, you know, like, and I had this belief too, like, oh, people in Europe, they don't eat processed foods. Like, they're much healthier. There's not as many chemicals in their foods. And that is a lie. In Portuguese people consume processed foods all the time. Like, whether it's packaged rissoles or it could be candy, chips, cookies. I mean, Bolacha Marias, they consume like on a daily basis, and those are processed, packaged products. So, total misconception. I mean, the aisles are lined with treats that are processed goods here.
That's very true. I will say the old school Portuguese usually tend to stay away from that. Like
that's different.
You know, we were at our friend's house this past weekend. There wasn't a sign of junk food anywhere. It was all straight food. Yeah. And same thing with our Vizinha too.
It's true.
It's straight up food. If for her, if it comes in a package, if it's not sugar or farinha, she's not touching it. Yeah. It's all made.
It's like the only thing processed that woman buys are Bolacha Marias and puff pastry. That's it. Like
that's to make her bouche, which are all handmade.
Yeah, exactly. But so that is true, but it's still a misconception in my opinion, because people believe that like nobody eats it, nobody touches it, but it's everywhere here. You'll find it everywhere. I mean, they love chips. There are chips everywhere.
McDonald's is huge here.
Yeah.
Fast food culture here is very big. It is. At least where we are, it's pretty big.
I think so too.
Probably the busiest cities. Like that.
Exactly. So like, you know, if you move to the countryside, that's a different thing. But if you move like city-ish, you're definitely going to find people who consume processed foods. Yep. So don't believe that lie. I thought I was going to come here and I was going to lose 20 pounds and have the most radiant glowing skin because I wouldn't be able to get my hands on any junk food. Yeah, right. If I'm not, I got to watch what I'm eating, especially because they love pastries and boule here.
I love boules and pastries myself.
Yeah.
You know though, even though they have the processed foods, they do have something cool. Europe has something cool that I've never seen in the United States, and I'm a big nutrition guy. They have on their packages, Portugal, I believe, is not, I looked into it a little bit, and Portugal, I believe, is not required to put, it's a food rating scale that they put on their packages, and it's a letter scale based from A to E, and it rates how good, how nutritious this food is to consume. So I believe Portugal does not have to do it, but they choose to put it on their packages, which is very fascinating to me.
That's really cool.
But it's something that they do in Europe, and almost everything you buy in stores will have a little, 5-letter code, A through E. A being the best, green, and then E being the worst, red, dark red.
Do you know what it's based off of?
I do. I actually do. So
I only ask, I'm sorry,
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Sometimes I'll look at products here and it'll be like olives, and I'll be like, aren't olives like super healthy for you? But it'll have like a D rating, and I'm like, I don't understand.
And then you look at the bag of chips and it'll have like a C rating. So that means technically that the batatas fritas are healthier, which doesn't really make sense. However, you know what it is? They rate those olives amongst other olives. The batatas fritas would get rated amongst other batatas fritas. So it's not like, so it's not like you rate the batatas fritas
Compared to an apple.
Compared to everything, right. You wouldn't compare it to an apple. You're only comparing it to other brands of batatas fritas.
What?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So you could look at like, 3 different brands of azeitonas, and one's going to say B, one might say C, and the other one might say D.
That's
It's
cool.
rating within themselves.
I'm so curious. We're actually going to Ocean after this. I'm like gonna kind of scout that out now because
I'm such a dork for nutrition. So
that's
I think
really
it's pretty
cool.
I think
That's
it's pretty
really freaking cool, actually. Something else I forgot to mention here, you can get fresh squeezed juice in supermarkets. Like a lot of them, you can get like fresh squeezed orange juice. Oranges are so abundant here.
They don't go to waste.
They literally have machines that squeeze fresh orange juice. So like whether you find orange juice healthy or not, I mean, that's like the freshest of the fresh.
100% pure
So
OJ.
in the US, it's like got additives to keep it from, separating and stuff. So there's that. I mean, here in Portugal, they use additives and stuff too. It's just,
They
I
do.
think they have more regulations on them. So, and I'm not a scientist and I want to disclose that we are both not scientists. And this is literally just from our like experience. So take it for what you will. We have a lot to learn. Yeah. Okay. What else? So, and I feel like this topic is going to be really
Touchy, maybe?
and like I think also it's a topic that a lot of people want to know about. It's like the cost of groceries here in Portugal. I definitely feel like anytime we talk about cost of stuff, it's a very, like Louie said, touchy subject because it's like in comparison to what, like you guys know that I will die on this hill that if you come here with a large salary, then you can afford anything and you're going to think things are cheap. If you come here on a minimal salary, you're going to think things might be pricey. And like, you're going to compare some things to where you came from. And we do that often. Like a bag of Doritos. How much is a bag of Doritos in the United States? Do you remember?
When we were there, probably about $6.99 or something like that. Now it's probably like 12,
Yeah. Okay, but like let's just go with like 6, right? Here in Portugal, I think they're like 4 euro. That's expensive.
Very expensive.
For a bag of chips.
Bag of Doritos, yeah, very expensive. It's pretty much equivalent to,
Yeah.
I would say, almost.
Yeah, I think so. Whether people are buying them, I don't know, especially because they have a million other flavors and you can get some chips for like 99 cents.
Yeah, usually, I mean, you get the store brands, so
Yeah.
you get the ones that are cheaper.
But even still, I mean, one that's like 2 euro is comparatively cheaper than 4 euro.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, it's very fascinating to me to see like different costs of things. And maybe the reason why Doritos are so expensive here is because they have to import them.
It could very well be, honestly, because obviously if you're going to import anything, as
Yeah.
we know, like when we see American style like soy sauce or imported from, I guess, the States, right? The price is usually sky high here
Yeah.
in Euro, so.
It's true.